Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Anna and this channel is all about sewing, costuming, historical sewing, history bounding, fantasy clothing, theater, costume concepts and general tips and tricks around crafting. We are starting with the first episode of the costume concepts and analysis I am doing for Epic the Musical. And just a small disclaimer in the beginning to avoid misunderstanding. This is a completely hypothetical project. I do this just for fun. I'm not involved in anything. I don't have information on anything. This is just a concept that I developed because I love this show so much and I would like to see it on stage, and I wanted to share my thoughts on how I could do costuming in order to make this masterpiece even more magical with the costumes. First, in the introduction, I already talked about some things like the stage concept and what we have to think about in things. If you didn't see it, it's probably somewhere linked up there. And I would recommend looking at that before, because I will build on top of that so that you are in the picture. As told before, we have to look at different things like the color palette, the mirroring of things, building relationships between characters visibly, so with patterns and colors and jewelry, embroidery, with the general aesthetic of the scene suiting to the scenes. And we have to look at character arc and character development throughout all the story. So clothing has to provide all of that, and clothing has to contribute to the authenticity. This is a tongue breaker of the story. So we have to oh god, this will definitely be outtake in the end. Nice. Oh yeah. Okay, so we have to divide firstly the different groups, and I already talked about this before. We have the mortals and the immortals, and we definitely need two different concepts to them because they are so different. The mortals are usually connected to the actual time of the story. We have them also a little bit more in the relations, and we have to stick to a lot of rules there, which we don't necessarily have to do with the immortals, because immortals, so the gods, the monsters, the sorcerers, the nymphs, the sirens, these are usually more archetypical concepts that also are represented in planetary aspects, and we have some colors and characteristics and metals also connected to these things. So just for an example, we have the goddess Aphrodite for love. That is also the Venus, that is more for romantic relationships, sexuality, love. So we can have them really like falling out of time. We don't necessarily have to have Greek clothing suiting to the story and the time. We can have them representing these really energy powers that are coming to stage and is just making an announcement of I'm here now. So we have a little bit more artistic freedom with the gods, and I think it's very important to have them really differentiated between the mortals. So I just made a small note on who we are going to cover in this whole series. And I wrote it down because I didn't want to forget anything, so I will just go through it. So we have the mortals that are also divided in two groups. We have the Ithaca people and we have the suitors, and these two groups also have to be different in colors and patterning. We have the Ithaca people that are more righteous, they are loving, empathy, we have a lot of love for them, they can show clarity with their clothing. And we have the suitors that are more on the bad side, so we can have a little bit more fun in their costumes to do them a lot of filthy and a little bit wrecked and not too clean, and having them have a very villainous look. And I'm very looking forward to that. It's so fun to do those. Yeah, we have a look at the Ithaca people. This is Odysseus, Eurylochus, Polites, Penelope, Telemachus, and the crew whilst they are alive. For the suitors, and I'm apologizing in advance for my pronunciation. Probably I do it wrong, but I will just read it. We have Antonius, we have Eurymachus, we have Amphinomus, and Melanthius. We have these four that are playing a little bit more role, and we have also the grand suitors, so the whole group of the ones who doesn't really have a name. So let's go to the Immortals, and there also we can divide between two groups. We have the big ones, the gods. We have the monsters, the minor gods, the demigods, and the souls on the other side. Because I would like to add the souls. So for example, the crew whilst they are dead, into that, because then they became immortal, basically. So, and all the characters we have to think there, which would be the Lotus Eaters, Polyphemus, the Windians, Circe, the Nymphs, Tiresias. We have Scylla, we have the Sirens, we have Charybdis, we have the dead crew, and Odysseus' mom. And then we have the big ones. We have Zeus, Athena, Poseidon, Aeolus, Hermes, Calypso, Apollo, Hephaestus, Aphrodite, Ares, and Hera. I hope I didn't forget anyone, but you will let me know in the comments anyway. So, yes, let's move on. So, if we want to build now all these characters, we have to look at the character development, and we will start in the first scenes with the crew. And just for you to have some historical background, we will start the clothing, how they would be historical accurate. So the story itself is set just after the Trojan War, and we don't have too much hard facts about the time that this war might have happened. Historians tried to date it, but there is like a 200-year span from till where this also could have happened. So, but it is more in the Mycenic culture. We don't have too much of evidence there, and it's also kind of the same as in the archaic culture. And we have the time where Homer was writing the story, and we also don't have hard facts on that. So historians date him between the 8th and the 7th century BC. So this is more the archaic culture. And there we have clothing that we have evidence for. For example, the undergarment that would also could be worn by themselves is the chiton, that is a rectangular draped on the body and fastened with pins and draped in various ways. Usually the women were wearing this until the ankle, and the men usually until mid-thigh, so it's a little bit shorter. And this is usually in the colors white or natural. This is common for all classes. Everyone was wearing a chiton. Then we have the himation or the himation, and this is a very large rectangle, usually 5 yards length and 1 yard's width. that is also draped around the body in various ways, depending on the status and the position. And this can also be dyed and embroidered and ornamented. Also, they are suiting to the position on the status of the person wearing it. So we have definitely chances here to show also the hierarchies within groups, but we'll get to that. Usually it's closed by a brooch. There we can also have like a golden brooch. We can have this a little bit like a safety pin, also depending on status. There are two different kinds of chitons. We have the Doric and the Ionic chiton. That are also draped in another way, but I will show you in a different video how this exactly looked like. For today it's just too much to add to. Under this, we don't have too much facts about that, how common it was. We have the strophion, which is basically something like a bra, and we have the perizoma, which is also a loincloth that is something like an underwear, but we don't have too much facts on that, but I just wanted it to be added to the whole. Then we have the chlamys, which is a riding cloak or a smaller cloak that could be worn over the himation. It's usually worn by military or hunters or riders, and it's usually from wool to keep them warm. The women, on the other hand, were usually wearing a peplos. This is also a rectangle that is also draped in various ways, but also I will show you how this looks like in the episode where we talk about Penelope. And this can be also fastened with a belt or a girdle. This can be very ornamented. Also, the peplos can be very ornamented and embroidered. We can have golden stitches. We can have brooches. We can just have safety pins, just depending on the status. And we have different coloring where like a deep purple would show royalty and wealth. And there's also something like a shawl that can be tied around the neck that is called an epiblema. For the shoes, we usually have sandals in the lower classes. We have something called an embus shoes. This is more for the rich people, and we have some kind of boots that is worn by military. If we have a look at the military, we have chest plates and back plates which are usually from hardened leather or metal. We have shoulder plates, we have arm armor, we have leg splints, we have helmets that can also be ornamented depending on the hierarchy. And there's also something called a Mejillustrates that is basically a band or a ribbon that you tie around the chiton and puts the fabric more to the body and also shapes something like an arm seam, but it's not really a seam, it's just tied with this Mejillustrates. So, and there's also a funny side note, because there are correct ways to wear those things and there are incorrect ways to wear those things. And usually himation is always worn over the chiton, but there are certain gods that just don't do it, and they are shown in pictures and status. That is Zeus and Poseidon that are just going out in their himations, and there are also two a little bit more eccentric gods that are walking around just in their chlamys, which we remember is just like a short cape, and these gods are Apollo and Hermes. Who would have guessed that? Yes, but this just as a funny side note. So, and if we have now this historic basis, we have to think about the scenery. And what my suggestion is to that, to add some kind of ruse trousers that are a little bit larger on the upper thighs and they go very tight on the calves, so that we have the shoes shown there and also have them not tripping over extra fabric. but we will have a look at the animatics. And there is also one animatic where we can see where the problem on stage would be. And we will talk about that. So my suggestion for the soldiers and for everyone male in that story would be to add these roost trousers to have a little bit more safety on stage, and also to make it a little bit more comfortable, to having a little bit more freedom of writing the scenes, the fight scenes, having them really jumping and rolling over the floor and being on their backs and being stabbed on whatever. And this without something that is protecting and covering up their legs is not nice for anyone. And yeah, we will have a look later also on that. So let's start with Odysseus. For him, he is the head of state. He's the king of Ithaca. He is the leader of the soldiers. He's the one in charge. So he would have had the highest stature. So we have clothing adjusted to this status. Also, he's the main character, so we see a whole character arc in the story, whilst we have the crew, which are just shown until the underworld, so we don't have them in the whole sagas. So we have to think about Odysseus having a little bit more possibilities of him being ripped apart through the story, and also at some parts having him built up. So we have to have a little bit more clothing. So he's the head of state. So my thoughts on that would having him a chiton that is in the color of white, that is a little bit more loosely draped, because he is not the one bragging about like, I'm the king, you have to do what I say. He's not like that. So we can have him a little bit more loose to show his character. And what I would have him wear is a himation that is draped ankle long, so that his body is really covered in this deep purple for royalty, himation that is highly embroidered and ornamented, and that we see him as that's the main one. I would like him to have mirrors also to Telemachus and to Penelope. So what I would do is to have his embroidery mirrored in the same way as Penelope's peplos, but we will talk about Penelope in another episode. So having this here embroidered and mirrored to Penelope. What I would like him to wear is some kind of arm armor that has the skyline of Ithaca on it, so that we can also have a mirror to Telemachus, because I would like him to wear some bracelets that are not really an arm armor, but having the same ornaments and the same skyline there that we see. In his outfit, we have also Penelope and Telemachus, because this is the group as a family, and this should be visible on stage. Then we also have a connection between this friend group of Eurylochus, Polites, and Odysseus. So what I would like to add there is that Polites and Eurylochus have a lighter color, but also a royal color. So a little bit light purple, and having this a little bit shorter, but we'll talk about Eurylochus in a second and Polites in the next episode, so that this is also visible. And then we have to see Odysseus and the rest of the crew, where Eurylochus and Polites are included. So the crew also has some things we have to think about. What also could be a nice addition to Odysseus' clothing would be like a golden brooch that is also the same as the closure of the peplos from Penelope, so that we also have a mirror there. His shoes are embossed shoes. They show wealth and royalty and status. So this is quite right to have him wear that. So let's go to Eurylochus. Eurylochus is the second in command. He is very buttoned up, and we also see this in the animatics and in some of his postures. He's very up and tense and very strict, and usually also bound to follow rules. He's mostly loyal. And he is like a brother to Odysseus. So what I would have him wear is also a chiton in white, and have him wear a himation without embroidery, but in a lighter color than the himation of Odysseus. I would also have his himation draped a little bit shorter, like short below the bum or mid-thigh, so that we see also Eurylochus in the whole body covered in this royal color, and it's getting less and less and not there at all, so that we have also this hierarchy shown. Then he's also pictured with a big sword, so we have to add some girdle that could carry his big sword, and it shouldn't be as funny as it is. What I would like him to wear is also leg splints, so that we see his being in second command and in this military mindset all the time, so that we have him a little bit more buttoned up. I'm not sure if I cut that. Okay, so the crew, we see them in different situations. We start with the war, and in war we usually see this also in war throughout all the ages, that soldiers have the same outfit to show unity, show togetherness, to show their longing on their fight for a higher goal. Showing also the difference to the opposing groups, so that we have really different colors in the war, because if we have the same colors we cannot divide them in who is the Ithaca people, who are the Trojans, who are the suitors, and this also have to look different. So in war I would have them wear chitons that are more natural colors, so a little bit more beigey, to show also their class. They have to have chest armor, back armor, they have to have arm armor, leg splints, a helmet, and I would like to Odysseus have ornamented helmet, so we also see who's in charge. This changes when we look to full speed ahead. They are now on the journey, and there we can have a little bit more individuality. We have different drapings with a marshallista. We can have them without a marshallista. We can have them loose. We can have them with a belt or a girdle. We have different pleating variants that we can use. We also have the possibility of adding chlamys or himations in different colors, but the colors have to be bright, because we want to show righteousness, clarity, love, empathy, and in general being on their side, and having beautiful clear colors helps to connect with them as a group. And for all characters I would like these ruse trousers added, because we have a look at that. So now in the first 3 songs we have some representation in the animatics, and we will just have a look at that and I will analyze this, what we see in the animatic in comparison to what I would do on stage. So let's start with. We will start with the animatics of the horse and the infant from Gigi. I will link her channel down below. along with every artist I'm referencing to. And this is a big shout out. You guys do such an amazing job. I can't draw like that. I'm just analyzing the accuracy and the possibility to do this on stage. So this is not an analysis of the drawings. So it is more for how can we do this on stage. So yes, I'm really a fan of y'all. You're amazing, and yeah, let's have a look. So we see here some soldiers with helmets, and actually I really don't know, I don't find the English word for it. This can be from hair and cloth, but it also can be from metal. So we have kind of an ornament over the helmet, and we don't see too much of the costume here, but this is a very nice thing to have in their military. And this is also in comparison to what we see in a moment, what I would do for the helmets in that scene. Here also we see one soldier with the helmet that is a little bit more open in the face. We have a nose plate. We have the funny Irokese thing on the helmet here. In Odysseus we see some kind of shoulder plates. We see an arm armor that is also very nice, but we don't see too much of that. Here we see a little bit more. We also have this nose plate, which is also quite accurate to the time, but we can add a little bit more of ornaments here. We can have some symbols for Ithaca, or symbols for royalty, or for war, or whatever they also used there, just to show a little bit more him being in charge. I don't know what this is. It's nice in the animatic, but it doesn't seem to have too much of relevance in an actual outfit. There is a possibility to wear a chiton with shorter arms, but it would fall a little bit different than what we see now here. So it's not quite accurate, but it's beautiful on its own. We don't have too much visibility of the chest plate, so this would be something we would have to adjust, that his chest plate is really coming from down and covering the whole chest. We see this shawl he has here around his neck. I don't know if this is necessary at that time. Probably with all the fires in that scene, and it's probably not really necessary. So this is something I would remove, and I would add the chlamys and a cloak that is a little bit more tied to his chest armor. So let's have a look at the next animatic. This is from Jenjo. I don't know if it's a 3 or if it's 3 eyes. I don't know. But I will also have this channel linked down below. There we see a little bit more of a armor, and I like this variant a little bit better because it is a little bit more covered, but we can also add a little bit more of like a six-pack to the armor. There are also some probably leather or metal things hanging from the belt. For the shoes, I would definitely do a change because it looks a little bit more like a cowboy. And also if there are added roost trousers, then we probably just see the bands of the sandals or the boots down on the feet. I like that the cloak and the chlamys it doesn't seem to be a chlamys, because this would not be too accurate, but I like that he has a cloak. And yeah, the rest of the crew is not really drawn at that time, so we just have a look at that here. The next picture shows one of the soldiers, and I like that he doesn't have too much of a chest plate, and he has also some leather bands running across the body. His sword is tied to his back. This is also a very good possibility to add to their military outfit. But I would remove here for the soldiers the cloak, so that they can pull their swords relatively quickly. But we can also have them wearing the swords around the waist as a belt. But I like this idea, having this on the back a little bit more. Next thing, we see Odysseus with his cloak. We see a little bit more of the shoulder plates, and what I like about this here are the straps coming from the back and pinning the chest plate on the top, and also that the cloak is added on the part of the closure. It's very, very nice. I like this a lot. The next thing, we see Odysseus talking to Zeus in his animal form. We see more of the arm armor here. I like that a lot. We didn't see that too much in the beginning. This is a night edition, and as I said, I would have him wear that throughout a lot of the scenes, just to have him mirrored Telemachus, and also have him shown the love for his island, that we have this in clothing. Next thing, we have a look at Mircsy's interpretation of just a man. And there we have in the beginning him remembering the time he was with Penelope. He's just wearing a chiton that is closed with a brooch, quite accurate. Next scene, we see him stabbing himself, probably, because that was the scene when he said something like, will I carry this pain forever, or something. I don't have the words in mind, so yeah, we have him stabbing himself. We have a little bit better understanding of the sandals, or the boots that are a little bit more tied upwards the calf. I like that. So this is also something we could see with loose trousers that are maybe also just going until mid-calf, and tightening just until the knee, and having here the trousers. We have him having something like a girdle or belt. That's also very, very nice. I like that. Also the sandals. In the next picture, we see them burning Troja, and we see Polites and Eurylochus, and Eurylochus has his big sword just at his hips. So this is also quite accurate. I like the closure of him just in the front of his shoulders. We see this a little bit better in the soldier in the back. And here is the first part where we would have to face some problems, because if shorts staying this short, we don't have a possibility for the actors to jump or to run or to do anything related to fighting. So this is why I would add trousers. And we will see in the next picture where all these would have been exposing themselves if there is an audience of maybe 10 rows looking right up to it forward, and if we have them a little bit more upstage, then we don't see them too well, so they have to be placed a little bit more downstage. So yeah, if there is no trousers, we just have a peek under their garments, and we don't want that, and that's not comfortable for anyone. Here we see Odysseus again. His cloak is waving in the wind, and this is way too big, I think, for being historical accurate, but it has a very nice way of showing the scene and having the dramatic of the scene. So probably this is a thing we could do. Let's skip to the animatic of Mejillustrates for full speed ahead. And we see Odysseus here with a brooch with a himation over his shoulders. It's not quite accurate. This is probably something that would not have happened there. But yes, I would do it different. I already talked about that, but I like it for the animatic. We see Eurylochus here also. It's not historically accurate because if we have a draping with a square neck, we don't have the pleats falling that way, and we don't have arm seams and shoulder seams. So this is something that is not really accurate, but I like it in comparison to Odysseus. What we see in this picture, we have him having a long cloak, so that we see his status. We have Eurylochus that is right below Odysseus, having this a little bit less covered his body. We have a square neck. We don't have too much royalty here, and we have Polites that is one that is also right below Eurylochus, and we have a really beautiful representation of the status and the hierarchy here. This is a way, but I would do it a little bit differently, but I like that this is represented in this animatic. So last but not least, we look at the animatic from Full Speed Ahead from Wolfey the Witch. Also, both channels are also linked below, so that you can have a look at those animatics. So here we also see Odysseus wearing a chiton, but actually it's a little bit more looking like a medieval shift, because this is something from the pleating that would not be accurate. So this is definitely something we would have to adjust. In the next picture we see also Eurylochus, and we see here something in their posture that is very, very interesting. Odysseus, who is in charge, is a little bit more loose and he's very, very free. And Eurylochus, we have him very strict, very buttoned up. He has a straight posture, he is obeying, he is taking orders. So we have a physical representation of their hierarchy here. And this is also very, very important for them being on stage, and for the choreographing that would have to be done. I like that a lot. And I also like him, Odysseus, joking around, and yeah, but also here we don't have too much of accuracy, but a little bit more accuracy than the picture before where we saw him from the side. So yeah, I like that a lot. So what are your thoughts on Odysseus' outfit and Eurylochus' outfit, and what are your thoughts on the crew? What would you do different? What do you like? And yeah, tell me in the comments. I would really enjoy reading your opinion to it. And in the next episode, in the analysis, we will have a look at Polites and Athena. I don't know if I will add the Cyclops as well, but we will have a look then. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed this episode. And if you like to stay notified by new upcoming videos, just click the subscribe button and the bell, and you will be notified if there's a new upload. Until then, have a nice and crafty day, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!